Slamdy, ego, slamdy, ego, slamdy, ego, slamdy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey. What's up, everybody? Welcome, episode 570 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is March 3rd, 2024. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. The Padres just smashed the Seattle Mariners in Cactus League action. Slow start in the Cactus League, but they've been playing much better. And this was a heck of a game to have televised on Padres TV with Don and Mud on the call, because the offense showed out. Campy had a homer. Kim had a homer. Tatis had a homer. Tim LaCastro and Oscar Mercado had themselves a pretty good day at the plate as well. Jackson Merrill had a couple of hits. Yu Darvish in this game, I thought he pitched pretty well. Sure, he gave up a home run, but I think that was more of an Arizona home run. But everyone really, this was a good day for a lot of guys on this Padres team. So this was, for the few games that the Padres are broadcasting, like on Padres TV, this was a pretty good one to have on there. So it was a fun day, fun game to watch for sure. It was good to have the Don laugh back. Mud, there was the interaction between him and Jake Cronenworth. They were talking, or the booth, Don and Mud was talking with Croney at first base, I think in the third inning, and Mud was roasting Croney a little bit. So it's fun to have that back and to have those guys back. Hopefully, it will be a much more fun season for them to be broadcasting this year. But without further ado, let's get to roster projection number 2. Opening day is not that very far away. It's March 3rd. Opening day is March 20th for the Padres, and even closer is that the plane, the scheduled plane trip to South Korea, which I believe they leave on the 13th after their last spring training game against the Oakland A's. So we don't have very much longer. We've got less than 2 weeks to go. Got about a week and a half before that plane leaves, and there's going to be 31 Padres players, I believe, on that plane to South Korea. 26 that will make the roster, and then there will be 5 that will be on like the taxi squad. I believe that's how they're doing it for the Padres and the Dodgers, who are going obviously to Korea to play those 2 games to open up the season on the 20th and on the 21st. The Padres also have a couple of exhibition games as well before the Dodgers games. Then they come back home, have Fan Fest, have the Peter Seidler Celebration of Life. And then the order of that is Peter Seidler is first, and then Sunday is going to be the Fan Fest. And then they have the exhibition games against Seattle, I want to say. And then there's the day off, and then the home opener against the San Francisco Giants on the 28th. So it's going to be fun there. My first roster opening day projection, number 1, that was before any Cactus League games happened. I believe that was on the 20th, February 20th. So it hasn't quite been 2 weeks since then, but there's been a dozen spring training games that have happened. There's been some back league action. Hasn't been a lot of injuries, which is good, obviously. Things could change on that front, but Yuki Matsui is the main one, right? Although the news on him is pretty good. He's throwing at, I think, 120 feet, so that's good. But most of the roster, the guys that I had on it on number 1, are going to be here on number 2. I made some changes, and this is me projecting. This isn't like what would I have the roster be right now. This is me projecting what I think the roster should be come March 20th. So let's start with the rotation. Musgrove, obviously, Darvish, King, all 3 of those guys have been encouraging from at least most recently. Musgrove, he was on a backfield the other day. He was so efficient with his outs that they had him, Ruben Niebla, Padres pitching coach, had Joe get another out in that third inning
after he had already gotten through that third inning. So good news there with Musgrove. It seems like he's more comfortable and he is progressing after a couple of not so great first two Cactus League outings, right? And then Darvish today, I thought he looked pretty darn good. How many innings did he go? He went 3+ innings because how efficient he was. 3 1/3, 6 punch outs, no walk. Sure, yeah, he gave up that home run, but it barely got out. It's Arizona. Would that how many ballparks would that ball have been a home run in? Like, I wonder. So he pitched good the outing before, I believe, as well. So I'm encouraged by what I've seen from you um, in Cactus League outings. I know it took him a little bit to get into Cactus League, but they wanted more of a controlled environment. I believe he wanted to throw more strikes and get a little bit more dialed in there, and it seems like he's dialed in. So all good there. Michael King, he is pitching well. I know that obviously Major League Baseball and their social media, they're giving a lot of love to Juan Soto. Right now with the Yankees, he has, I think, 3 home runs in Grapefruit League play with the Yanks. But Michael King, I'll give him that love. He is pitching really well this spring as well. I believe he has not allowed a run yet in Cactus League play. Yeah, 2 games, 5 innings of work. I get it. It's a very small sample size, but from what we have seen, looks pretty good. And then the last two guys I have on this rotation, I've got Randy Vasquez and then I've got Matt Waldron. And that is a change. I had Avila in the 5 spot. I had Vasquez in the 4. I had Avila, but I'm going with Waldron. And Vasquez and Waldron, they've had really good springs so far, at least in the action that has been documented. And what I mean by that is the innings that we've been able to see on MLB.com, like the stats that are there. Now you could throw Yair Ariarte's name in there. I mean, he's 22. He has been looking really good in the innings that he has pitched in Cactus League play as well. Velocity, like the upside is definitely there. But for now, unless if Iriarte continues to pitch this well, then I might be having Iriarte make the roster. But I was not thinking that I was even going to be thinking about Iriarte making the rotation at the beginning of Cactus League play. So maybe I shouldn't even think about Iriarte making it because that would be me probably overreacting to spring training play. But I mean, I'll admit it. It's not like I'm watching every Iriarte start that he had in Double A last year. I think he had 12 or 13 starts. I'm not watching all of that. I'm watching every Padre game at the big league level every day. So, I mean, what I saw stat wise in Double A last year, I think opponents were hitting under 200 against him there. It's not a huge sample size, but it's more than the spring training games. And I know those are Double A hitters, not major league hitters, but usually the best prospects, they play Double A. They don't spend a ton of time at Triple A. So you can take that into account as well. But Iriarte, there's a reason he is still in big league camp. There is a reason he is fighting. At least as of now, it's what it sure seems like. He's fighting for a roster spot. And then Johnny Brito, I have him in the bullpen. Hasn't been as great in Cactus League play. So maybe that's why I'm leaving Brito out right now. And Waldron, he's been pitching well. And Mike Schilt, he's been talking to the media, and I think he was asked a question recently about Matt Waldron and him throwing the knuckleball. Is that a separator? And what Mike Schilt what he said was, I mean, it's great, essentially, but we want guys that are going to get outs. Like, that's what matters. And Matt Waldron has been able to get out so far. And I just don't know how long it's going to last. But as for opening day, maybe he makes the roster and they'll ride him until he struggles, and then they'll bring Brito in, or they'll have Avila be in the rotation with Randy Vasquez. There could be another addition to this team, whether it's Michael Lorenzen in free agency, because he has not officially signed anywhere yet. It could be a Noah Syndergaard, or I think he's holding out for a major league deal. I don't think the Padres are going to do that. I think the Padres, like I said the other day, I think that they like the group of guys, the group of arms that they have. And unless there is a great deal that they cannot pass up, I think they're just going to ride with the guys that they have. The place that I'm expecting an addition to happen is the outfield. I think that they're going to get Tommy Pham or Eddie Rosario. Maybe it's via trade that we're not thinking about. I think that it's going to be a veteran outfielder that they get. And I would like that. I would like that. I the more that I'm seeing this group of starting pitchers go, and maybe I'm overreacting to these Cactus League outings, but this is all I can see. The more I'm seeing these guys, the more that I'm okay with the Padres not overpaying for a veteran guy that you don't know if he's going to get hurt. You don't know how effective he's going to be when he comes into camp with the Padres and how he would do at the back end with not a lot of time working with these catchers. So right now, I'm fine with the group of arms that they have, but you can never have enough starting pitching. You can never have enough pitching in general. But this is also good. Let's remember there's Adrian Morejon, there's Waldron if he doesn't make the roster, there's Avila as a long man, there's Iriarte, there's Mazer. Like there are some names if they don't make the roster or if they get stuck as the last guy in the bullpen as a long man, if something happens in the rotation, those guys can still start games for you and be effective, I think, in the rotation. So right now, I mean, I might end up looking like a fool, but I like where the rotation is at arms wise. You'd like another lefty probably, but right now, Musgrove, Darvish, King, Vasquez, Waldron, it might not look like the best rotation in baseball. I'm not saying it is. Definitely not saying that it's the best. But to me, it looks pretty solid right now. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm only on that island, but I like it right now. Now, Waldron may not make it. Maybe it's Pedro Avila. Maybe it's Johnny Brito and it's Avila or Waldron gets that last long spot in the bullpen. Maybe Matsui. I would think Matsui is going to be ready to go in the bullpen, which is where I will move to now. But maybe there's an injury there and someone can make the roster there. Iriarte, I think it's either in the rotation or you send him a double A or probably double A, right? And you just have him start. Get that starting experience, continue to build up with the innings, and you see what happens. I don't think you put him in the bullpen for like 1 inning outings. I think that they want to see what he can give in double A or at the big league level, continue to have him be a starter and develop him as a starting pitcher. So in the bullpen right now, I have it as the same guys that I had before. Suarez, Matsui, Usako, Enyo De Los Santos, Tom Cosgrove, Steven Wilson, Johnny Brito, and Wandy Peralta. I mean, I don't have a ton to add here because it's the same guys that I had in projection number 1 that I did before these Cactus League games got underway. For the closer spot right now, I mean, Robert Suarez isn't doing the best in spring training, but it's also spring training. You know, Mike Shields has talked about how he doesn't want to over evaluate spring training. He doesn't want to put too much into it, but he has also said that the games are important as well. So it's the balance. I'd be very curious to sit in on those meetings with the coaching staff to hear like what are they talking about day in, day out about guys' performances on the field versus their performances on backfields, or just, well, this is what we thought going into spring training. And so let's stick to that, even if this guy is playing well in Cactus League games and the other guy maybe not as much. You know, I wonder how they're balancing that in those rooms, how AJ and Schilt and the rest of the coaching staff, rest of the front office, how are they balancing that? I'm very interested in that because, like, who's the closer right now? Because Suarez isn't doing the best. Matsui, he's not pitching. Wandy Peralta just got there. Steven Wilson, he was pitching in the 9th inning today, but he's facing like nobodies on the Seattle Mariners. Cosgrove, would they give it there? If you look at the Padres graphic that they had up, the 5 relievers, I think the big 5 relievers for the Padres, Cosgrove was in it. Enyo De Los Santos was not in it. But, I mean, he could pitch in high leverage spots this year for sure. So, Wusuk kind of slow start. It took him a little bit to get into Cactus League action. I believe he pitched today, right? Yeah, he pitched today before De Los Santos did, after Festa and Ryan Carpenter. Um, I don't think he is up for the closer, but I think it's between Suarez and Matsui. Do you throw I don't think you throw Wandy's name in there. Is Steven Wilson in there for that? I think it's down to Suarez and Matsui, but there's still time, and they could go closer by committee. But that's, I think, really like the discussion here. Who is 7, 8, 9? Who are the matchups? Do they trust Cosgrove enough to give him an inning, a high leverage inning? Or do they want him to be more matchup? Hey, you face Shohei Ohtani at the end of the 8th inning here. You face Ohtani and Freeman left on left to end an 8th inning in Korea instead of the full inning, you know? Or maybe they just give him the full inning and say, hey, go get Mookie Betts out too. Because he can be tough on righties as well. So I wonder. I mean, I would trust Tom Cosgrove, but I'm not Mike Schilt. I'm not Ruben Niebla. They know more than I do, obviously, about these guys. So I'm going to trust them. Catchers, I have Luis Camposano and Kyle Higashioka. I thought about having Brett Sullivan because he is, and I might have him on my next roster projection because he's playing some first base. He was catching at the end of today's game, but he's playing some first. I think coming up, he played some different positions other than just catcher. So he does have that versatility. It's a left-handed bat. There's not a lot of left-handed bats for the Padres right now. Obviously, you think of Jake Cronenworth. After that, I mean, Brett Sullivan, Graham Pauley, Jackson Merrill, Jurickson Profar switch. There's probably someone I'm blanking on right now, but it's not a lot. There's obviously way more righties than lefties. But the lefty that I do have on it right now is Graham Pauley. And I'm not saying that Graham Pauley has deserved this spot right now, like he has earned his way onto the roster. But this is someone that Mike Schilt has spoken pretty well about when he's been asked about him. And as a left-handed bat, someone that he played in college. So it's not like he was coming right up high school and doesn't have a ton of at-bats just like post-high school. He was coming out of Duke, and then he's had some at-bats in the big league, or not the big league, excuse me, the minor league level. And as a left-handed bat, obviously valuable. And he can play first. He's been playing some first. He came up, I believe, as a third baseman. I'm sure you could put him at second base if you need to. And if you needed to as well, I believe you could put him in the corners. Trying to find Graham Pauley. He's on the non-roster. Oh, no, he's on the 40-man, right? I'm just trying to find. No, he's non-roster. Trying to pull up how he's done this spring. But I think the Padres like that versatility. 23 years old, 904 OPS so far this spring. There's someone else that's been doing really well this spring, Jacob Marcy, but that might be a little bit too early because there's some competition there. There's Tim Castro, there's Jose Azocar. So, I mean, Jackson Merrill's obviously getting a lot of reps in center field. It seems like they're leaning to have him be the starting center fielder, or else they'd be having him play left field every day, right? He started in left, and now he's playing center field a lot. Maybe he goes back to left. We'll see. But I think the Padres, they want him starting every day in center here in spring, have him be the starting everyday center fielder, and they can have Profar play left if they need him to. There's other guys that could play left, and I'm hoping that they're planning on bringing in a left fielder. So Merrill would be in center, Tatis being right. Very small sample size still for Paulie, 17 at-bats, 235 average. He did have a home run the other day, Oppo. You always want to be careful judging home runs, though, because it is in Arizona. Now, in the minors, last year, hit 308 with a 931 OPS. He started in Lake Elsinore, was with Fort Wayne, and then had 81 at-bats with San Antonio. And he had a 931 OPS still with San Antonio. So he was really good. He's been on the show before, so I'm obviously rooting. I'm rooting for all these guys, but rooting for Graham Pauley. Hopefully he can continue having a pretty good spring here. And just that versatility. I think Mike Schilt loves that versatility. I think a lot of managers in baseball love that versatility. And him hitting left-handed, I don't think that hurts. And this is one where, like, I trust the Padres here to make the best decision for not just now, but Graham Pauley's future. And so that may mean that he stays down in Double A and gets more at bats there instead of having him come up. But if you do look at this first base thing here, I mean, Profar can play first, but we know that he's looked at as an outfielder. Who is a first baseman behind Jake Cronenworth right now that, like, has played first base? Graham Pauley's just starting to play first base, but you count him because he is playing first base. Brett Sullivan, I mean, that's the other first baseman right now, unless I'm totally blanking on someone. That's the other first baseman right now, right? Nathan Martorella, he's been on the show as well. I don't know if they're seriously considering Martorella to make the opening day roster. I think with Pauley, both are left-handed bats, him and Martorella, but Pauley being able to play a lot of different spots, I think there's an advantage there as well. Yeah, I think they'd go Pauley over Martorella. My point is that there's just not a lot of depth for first base right now. So Pauley may end up getting that spot because he can play first and he can play a lot of different positions. And do the Padres want to carry 3 catchers when they already have Higashioka, who's a vet, Campusano, who they want to be the catcher pretty much definitely the majority of the time, pretty much every day, you would think, right? Maybe they have Campy be the DH because Manny's good to go for third, but he may not be. And then they have Eggy Rosario make the roster. I have him making it, by the way. So my 6 infielders, Manny, Kim, Bogey, Crony, Pauley, and Rosario. Maybe they have Rosario play third, Pauley on the bench, backup first base, whatever, Manny DH, or if Manny plays the field, they want to carry only 2 catchers. You have Campy at catcher, Higgy on the bench, Pauley, left-handed bat, DH. And then when guys need days off, obviously, I'm not talking like Korea, but whenever they needed a day off, those guys can be a DH as well. So, and Pauley could play infield. You have Eggy. I don't know if they're going to have Batten and Eggy be on the roster. It feels like it would be one or the two. And with the outfield, let's see, I've got 5 in the outfield because 2 catchers, only 13 position players because a max of 13 pitchers. So 13 position players. Campy, Higgy, Manny, Kim, Bogey, Crony, Pauley, Rosario. And then the outfield, Tatis, Merrill, Profar, and then I have a Zokar and Tim LaCastro. I had Oscar Mercado. He very well could be that 5th outfielder because he is playing very well as well. He had a good day today. Let's see. What was his line? Mercado. 1 for 2. He has a 1,300 OPS. He's hitting .353 on the spring. But remember, Tim Lopes last year, he hit Willie well. He hit really well and then didn't see him. So, like, it's spring training. Miguel and Duhar with the A's. A few days ago, I was checking him, and he was hitting really well, but it's spring training. Tatis, he's hitting .091. That's his average. 650 OPS. That's with the big bomb that he hit today. You know, it's spring training. Some guys are struggling. Bogart's not having the best. He went over today. It's spring training. Mercado doing very well. LaCastro, I have him making it right now over Mercado. Yeah, LaCastro over Mercado. One, I think the speed is a real factor. And I'm looking at what are the Padres doing? LaCastro was the one that started today. Mercado's the one that came in off the bench when Tatis, his day was over. Where LaCastro was starting in left field. And he went 3 for 3. And ever since he turned into a Padre, he got that deal in the brown and gold. He's been raking. His OPS is over 2,000 right now. I get it. It's like 6 at-bats. Calm down, Ben. I get it. And for anyone that took that seriously, when I was on Twitter earlier today, or X, I still call it Twitter. When I was on Twitter today and I posted that video of Tim LeCastro getting that hit through the right side, and I was like, is this the best signing Preller's ever made? And people were actually taking that seriously. Take a joke, calm down. It's spring training, it's social media, it's supposed to be fun. I obviously was not being serious, okay? So have a laugh every once in a while. Not everything is so serious with spring training single through the right side. Anyway, LeCastro, though, he is playing really well, and that speed is something that I think can separate him. You have a Zokar who can play center, and LeCastro does have parts of 7 years of big league experience. Mercado has experience as well, but both guys are righties. If you're going to go with one over the other, you probably go with the guy that would be a really good pinch runner, right? Off the bench in like a key spot, ninth inning. Let's say, I don't want to call Xander out, but he's not the fastest guy, right? Let's say Xander gets on, ninth inning, you're down by a run, Xander doubles. Do you want LeCastro pinch running, or do you want Xander just to stay at second base? I don't know. Is Mercado super fast? He's not LeCastro fast. That I know. And if LeCastro continues to hit well, then this isn't saying that LeCastro is going to be on the roster all year, but make the roster as the fifth outfielder. That could end up being a valuable small piece to the roster at the beginning of the year. Mercado may end up taking most of the not playing time, but most of the roster time between those two for the majority of the year. Marcy could come up at some point. Might be a little early. At least the Padres, they might not want Marcy and Merrill to make it because are both going to play? Is Marcy going to play every day? Merrill, I think their mind's like almost set that he's going to play every day when he's on the roster. But is Marcy going to play every day? And Mike Schilt was saying either today or the other day, talking to the media, he was like, we think these young guys, if they're coming up, their first action in the big leagues, we want them playing. So I don't see Marcy making it. I think Merrill's making it. LeCastro, Profar, Azokar, Tatis. It could be Tatis, Profar, Merrill, LeCastro, Mercado, and Azokar doesn't even make it. And they could say, well, if Merrill is out, then we could have Tatis go play center field if we need him to. LeCastro, with his speed, could play center field if you need him to. Mercado probably could play center if you need him to. Profar wasn't that great, if I remember correctly, in 2022. But you could. There's if you need them to, they could. If Paulie makes the roster, he can play a corner outfield spot. Let's remember that. So that's what I've got right now. Feel free, let me know in the comments. If you want to join the show, click that link pinned up at the top of the chat. I will go through the comments here in a bit. But just to overview, my opening day roster projection, number 2, the rotation, I've got Musgrove, Darvish, King, Vasquez, and Waldron. Bullpen, I've got Suarez, Matsui, Go, De Los Santos, Cosgrove, Wilson, Brito, and Peralta. Catchers, Campusano and Higashioka. Infield, I've got Machado, Kim, Bogarts, Cronenworth, Paulie, and Rosario. And then outfield, Tatis, Azokar, Profar, Merrill, and LeCastro. That's what I've got right now. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why? Let me know, and I'll go to the chat after this break. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. Well, we got breaking news here, actually. I'm sorry. I have not seen the chat, so I'm sure the chat has already mentioned this. But the Padres, they have reassigned the following players to minor league camp. Nick Hernandez, not a surprise. Yair Iriarte. So everything that I just said about, maybe if he keeps pitching well, maybe he'll make it. Not surprised that he's not going to make it. I thought it was a little bit early, but he's had a good spring. So at this point in time, there's not a lot of time left. So really what I think this move was about was there's other guys, there's Waldron, there's Avila, there's Vasquez, there's Brito. There's these guys that are fighting for rotation spots right now. And Iriarte, we want you pitching. So we'll put you in double A or we'll put you in triple A to start the year. These other guys, they're closer to the big leagues. We know that we're going to go with these guys, at least a couple of them over you right now. So let's just not make you continue to worry about, oh, what if you're going to make it or not? Let's just do it now. That's one less decision that we'll have to make. You've impressed us this spring. Keep working. There's other guys that have big league experience, and we're going to go with them at least for now. That's probably what the message is from the Padres for Iriarte. Adam Mazur, Sean Reynolds, they're not there anymore. Daniel Camarena, Jay Groom, which we knew about earlier today. Austin Krob, Robbie Snelling, not a surprise there. Ethan Salas, not a surprise. Marcos Castagnon, and Nathan Martorella. So like I said moments ago, Martorella, I thought it was early there. I didn't think he was going to. I think Paulie is still there. Merrill is still there. Marcy is still there. So that's notable. 50 players remaining in Major League camp. So not I don't think there's really any surprise there. I don't think that's surprising. But I am glad though that the Padres are making these decisions so they don't have to make more cuts later. Just do it. If you know that you're not actually considering these guys, just tell them so that they don't have to, worry about it every day as well. And they can just maybe this weight this takes a weight off of their shoulders and it's just like, okay, at least I know now that I'm not going to be on the big league roster and I can just continue to develop, continue to work hard. I appreciate the experience that I got with big league camp. Now I can just go focus and continue to get better. That's what I would want. If I was a player in this situation, and if you knew that you were not going to have me on the big league roster, just tell me. Just let's just get it out of the way here. It's March 3rd, and camp is going to be breaking earlier. I think it's good to have less players as well on that major league side. It allows for some of these other guys to get more playing time and not have to share it late in games because that is valuable. Because the coaches, it's not like they go with the players on those golf carts and they leave. No, they watch. They continue to watch through the ninth inning. They watch everything. So more playing time for guys that are actually under consideration. I think that's a good thing. All right. Before going to the chat, reminder about some of the great partners of the show. FOCO, they got some great Padres bobbleheads and collectibles. Click the link in the description for them. Breaking Tea, Padres, Aztecs, Wave, shirts and sweatshirts. Great stuff there. U.S. Women's National Team as well. They play later tonight, 5:15, in a must-win game in the W Gold Cup if they want to advance to face off against Canada. They play Colombia tonight. If they win, then they'll be playing at Snapdragon Stadium on the 6th. If they win that game, then on the 10th in the final at Snapdragon Stadium. So I know people at Snapdragon are probably hoping that the U.S. wins today so that they can get some more fans in the seats for that semifinal. So rooting for them tonight. But yeah, Breaking Tea, click the link in the description. Underdog Fantasy, they will match your first deposit with them up to $100. So if you deposit 50, you get another 50. So you'll have 100 in total. A lot of sports going on, spring training, college basketball, women's college basketball, a lot of different things going on. So use that Underdog Fantasy there, code Talking Friars, or click the link in the description. Also, the code for SeatGeek, $20 off your first order, is Talking Friars there. Maybe save it for the first series where the Padres are back, the home opener, or you're waiting for one of the other big teams to come to town later in the regular season. You can use that code Talking Friars. All right. Thank you, everyone, for the support. Let's get to the chat. Legit fan says Merrill / LaCastro and Snelling and Thorpe pulled up for Korea. Well, So Snelling, Thorpe, by the way, that's someone that I did not mention. He's, I believe, had a pretty good spring as well. I think he might be a little early, but Thorpe, is someone that is still in big league camp after this announcement. So that's a name that I need to be mentioning now when I mention Vasquez, Brito, Waldron, Avila. I got to be mentioning Thorpe. That's my bad. Probably because he hasn't been in the organization. That's probably why I didn't mention him. But yeah, got to be mentioning him. Merrill LaCastro, I could definitely see. Snelling, no. I know this comment was before that announcement was made, or at least before I saw that announcement was made. But yeah, Snelling has been sent down. Thorpe, still there, but I think he's got an outside shot. Brent says, can't wait to hear your takes on this. Thanks for the Sunday live action. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Brent. I appreciate that. Red Devil NC says we need to add Lorenzen just to see if we can get lucky. Nice fourth or fifth starter. I think the Padres are good with the arms they have. Right now, it seems like Lorenzen is asking for too much, or else he would have agreed to a deal with someone. Right? I would think. So I right now, as I said the other day, I'm expecting an outfield edition. I'm not expecting a starting pitching edition as of now. Opening day, March 20th, John. Petco Park home opener, March 28th. Sure, a lot of Padres fans have that date circled on their calendars. Brent says LeCastro had himself a day. Mercado and Azokar, Mercado and Azokar have looked solid too. Yeah, Mercado and LeCastro have definitely looked really good this spring. It's small sample sizes. Azokar, we've seen more in big league action. So I think the Padres, they probably will still give Azokar the edge over one of those guys. But right now, there's a spot for LeCastro or Mercado. If it's going to be Tatis, Azokar, Profar, Merrill, that fifth spot is open. And right now, it's a big battle between LeCastro and Mercado, I think. Cal Mitchell, I don't think he's really in it right now. Bryce Johnson, same thing. I think they're more looking at El Paso. Irie, again, talking about CJ Crone, got a minor league contract. That would have been a perfect lefty righty first base DH combo with Jake. Yeah. I mean, yeah, minor league contract. What does that tell you? Does that tell you that the Padres didn't want another righty bat taking up a bench spot and they'd rather go with Graham Pauley as a lefty? Maybe the Padres are going to bring in Joey Votto. Maybe they're going to bring in Brandon Belt and they're just trying to work through things there, or they're keeping that spot open for that, for a lefty bat. I don't know what it. They must not be in love with CJ Crone. I mean, but it's a minor league deal. Or maybe the Padres offered him a minor league deal and he would rather go to the Red Sox, I think it was the Red Sox, on a minor league deal because he thinks he can make that roster, where maybe he sees this and he's like, might not make the Padres roster, or might not get as much playing time. I don't know. Ray says, by the way, Woo-Suck Go is topping at like 91 today. Command not good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to overreact to it right now. But what I would say is, yeah, he's not in the closer competition. He's going to make the opening day roster, I would think, right? He's on a major league contract. But right now, for sure, he's not in the level of Suarez. He's not on the level of Matsui, Cosgrove, even Wilson, maybe even Enyel De Los Santos. So, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why it took him a little bit, obviously, to get into those Cactus League games. You just hope he finds it, right? It took Darvish a little bit to find it. Took Musgrove a little bit to find to progress, at least on the backfields. It seems like he liked his outing that he had yesterday, so it seems like everything's good there. Matsui's throwing from 120 feet. I think that's the latest update that I saw from, I think it was Jeff Sanders. And he was dealing with the back spasms. That's why he has only been throwing so far. He had to, I think, I don't know if he fully shut it. He probably shut it down for like a day or two. Got an MRI. I think he got an MRI, and now he is back throwing. I don't know when he's going to get into a game though. And Irie says if Matsui gets hurt and is out for a while, then that trade may open up again for Duran and Jansen, then flip Jansen at the deadline when Matsui gets better. But the Padres, you still have to take on that money, though, of Kenley, right? I don't think the Red Sox, I mean, with the way that the Red Sox the ownership is going, I don't think the Red Sox want to be taking a lot of the Jansen money just to get out of the contract. And I don't think they want to give up Jaron Durant. Like the Padres, they don't want to give up Ha-Seong Kim. They don't want to give up any of their top prospects. I think if Matsui doesn't start the season in the bullpen, I think the Padres would just be like, okay, Pedro Avila and Johnny Brito, you can go to the bullpen, and we'll just have Waldron and Vasquez be in the rotation. And that opens up, that makes their lives easier, like for like decision wise. They don't want to see Matsui hurt, but it allows you to keep one of those arms for longer instead of sending them down to AAA. Avila, does Avila have any options left? Maybe it's Waldron that doesn't. I think one of them has no options left. So yeah, talk about making the Padres' lives easier. It would. If Matsui doesn't start the year on the roster and they say back injury to start the year or something, or Woo-Suk Go doesn't start the year on the roster, it makes it easier for the Padres, I think. Lizzie says, Mud roasting Crony. He would never say anything to Manny or anyone else on the team live on TV. He must feel very comfortable giving Jake S. Well, yeah, I mean, and Jake knows he's joking around. I think he would, maybe he wouldn't to Manny on live TV. I don't know. Manny would know that he's joking around as well. And Manny knows that he didn't have a good year either last year. Crony also knows he didn't have a great year last year. So they can laugh it off. It's spring training. It's light. They know that Mud likes to joke around. I don't think Crony's taking it personally. I don't think Manny would take it personally and hate Mud if that happened. It was just a thing that was funny during the broadcast. That's all. All right, let me check if I'm missing anything here. I don't think so. By the way, I was just referencing San Diego, not San Diego, U.S. Women's National Team. The starting 11 is out now, and 3 wave players, I think. No. No, yeah, 3 wave players. 3 out of the 4. So Abby Dahlkemper's on the bench, but Naomi Gurma's starting, Alex Morgan is starting, and Jaden Shaw is starting. USA Colombia tonight, 5:15 on Paramount Plus. Must win against Colombia to advance to Snapdragon Stadium. All right, back to the chat. Just wanted to give that quick update that I saw here. Let's see. How much of how the outfield roster is set up is due to the team liking who they have versus saving payroll? That's a good question. I think there's a balance. I think that they like Merrill, and that's why he's playing center field right now in spring. I think that saving payroll is why they haven't signed a left fielder right now. I think like Profar, you brought him in for $1 million. You brought in Tim LaCastro, minor league deal. What if we don't sign a major leaguer? Maybe LaCastro makes it if he has a good spring like he's having right now in a brief, like 6 at-bats or however many it is. Mercado, minor league deal. Same thing. Let's take a chance on these guys. Let's see if they have rebounded. Maybe they have found something. Maybe we can help them out. Depth guys. So I think, like, for that answer, like Tatis, obviously they like. We know he's on the roster. Duh. For these other guys, Profar, I think that is saving payroll. Cheap. Bring him in. He's a fit here. There you go. Azokar, I think that's, I mean, he's under contract with the Padres. Might as well have him on the roster as of now. and he's a serviceable bench outfielder. So I wouldn't say like that's trying to save payroll. I think he would be, even if they signed Cody Bellinger, he'd still be like the fifth outfielder at least on the bench right now. Merrill I think they like him. Where LeCastro, Mercado, that fifth outfield spot, and then Profar, I think those two guys are saving payroll. So it's a little bit of both. But good question there. Jay's desire for a kitty cat persists. That's literally the username. Interesting. Good question, though. Jose says, I can see Snell with my Phillies on a short term deal. I could see that as well, although I don't know the Phillies payroll situation. Farhan Zaid the other day, I think he said something to the effect of our offseason is over. And there have been a lot of people trying to connect Blake Snell to the Giants, and understandably so, connecting him to the Giants after they signed Matt Chapman. And I think there was an injury in the Giants rotation, or at least one of them that was fighting for a rotation spot. So yeah, there's connections there. People are making that connection. But didn't Farhan say something like he didn't think that they were going to make other moves as well, and then they go sign Chapman? So if it's a short-term deal, the Giants, I think they still have money to spend, and the Phillies might do that on a short-term deal as well. I see the Giants happening more than the Phillies, to be honest. But if you're a Philly fan, Jose, you know more about the Phillies than you do, or than I do, excuse me. So maybe you've seen some connections there that I have not seen. Snell to the Yankees, I don't think that's happening. I think it's going to be between the Giants and the Angels right now. Maybe Artie Moreno, he'll finally spend on a starting pitcher because he doesn't spend on starting pitchers. It's usually like a 1-year deal with Andrew Heaney, or he goes and spends big on Albert Pujols or Anthony Rendon, someone like that. Tyler Wade, Kirsten says, Wade getting hot. Tyler Wade is someone that I probably should mention as well, alongside Eggy Rosario, Matthew Batten. I don't know if he would take Graham Pauley's spot because he can't play first. Pauley can if they need him to. He seems like a Tim Lopes, like put him in El Paso. If something happens, he could come up. Because I don't think he's going to get like a major league spot from another team, unless it's like the Pirates or something, or the A's out of spring training. So I think the Padres could stash him in El Paso. Lizzie says, depends on how Musgrove performs. Darvish looked good today. What do you mean? Like, depends on how Musgrove performs. In terms of like opening day starter? In terms of schedule, Musgrove is starting opening day. Like he pitched yesterday, Darvish pitched today. So you would think Musgrove would go game 1, Darvish would go game 2. Yeah, I agree, Lizzie. First base, third base, DH for Graham Pauley. And he can play corners if you need to. Like that makes him a valuable piece. And he's a left-handed bat. Irie with the super chat. Thank you so much for this. Greatly appreciated. Says, I understand running the young guys out there in the outfield, but you can't be having a quadruple A DH. Much love. Keep up the great work. Much love to you. Much love to the audience as well. Thank you for this, Irie. Yeah, I mean, you can't be having a quadruple A DH. Well, what if they have to? What if they don't sign Brandon Belt? What if they don't sign Joey Votto? I'd like to have Joey Votto. Like, I think you could give him a Jurickson Profar contract. 1 year, $1 million. And some would say, well, you're just signing Nelson Cruz again. Nelson Cruz was not the reason why the Padres missed the postseason last year. There was Manny underperforming. There was Bogarts underperforming. There was Tatis. I mean, I get it. He was coming off surgery, but that was still not Fernando Tatis Jr. like he can be. Jake Cronenworth was really bad, if I remember correctly, with runners in scoring position. Same thing with Manny. Soto was good, but he did have a couple of not so great months. The runners in scoring position thing was a big problem. Nelson Cruz, did he contribute to that a little bit? Sure, but he was not the reason why the Padres missed the postseason. There was bad bullpen stretches. Remember, they missed the postseason by a couple of games. And that was with them having a great stretch of games in September against bad teams. There was a lot of things that went wrong. There were injuries in the rotation. There were your stars underperforming. Nelson Cruz was not coming in there to be a star. It was $1 million. It was, hey, if he's not doing that great, whatever, it's $1 million. That would be what Joey Votto is if you bring him in. And Joey Votto is someone you want in that clubhouse, along with Jackson Merrill and Jacob Marcy, Graham Pauley, some of the young guys. You don't think that those young guys would love to have Joey Votto as a mentor and to be able to ask Joey Votto questions about hitting? And you can look at Joey Votto's last couple of years with the Reds and be like, he sucked. Well, he was hurt. Bicep injury, maybe shoulder as well. He was not healthy the last couple of years. Right now, I believe he is healthy. So if it's $1 million, come on, Eric Kutsenda, you have $1 million to give Joey freaking Votto. You do. If you don't want to give Brandon Belt 5-6 mil, whatever it would take, you can give Joey Votto a job. I may be on an island on that, but I would bring Joey Votto in. I don't think that there's this huge risk. Now, some might say, well, you're blocking Graham Pauley if you bring in Joey Votto. Well, if the Padres think Graham Pauley is ready, okay, then you don't sign Joey Votto. But if Graham Pauley is not ready, then why not give Joey Votto a shot at the big league level? This is a future Hall of Famer that we're talking about. This is not a guy this isn't Oscar Mercado, who has some big league experience, but he hasn't been a great hitter. Joey Votto has been a great hitter in the big leagues. So I would give a shot. And he would be like a part coach, just like Nelson Cruz was, like a part coach. And it's not like it's a 2-year, $13 million contract like they gave to Matt Carpenter. It would be 1 year, and it would be for minimal money. It would be a drop in the bucket for Eric Kutsenda. So I would do it. Don't know how many people agree, but that's just one man's opinion. All right. That's going to do it. Talking Friars episode 570. Thank you all for the time. Roster projection number 2. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show today. Encouraging performances out of spring training. Campy, Tatis with the home run today. Kim, I know it was 3-0, right down the middle, but still, you love to see it. Mercado, LaCastro making things interesting in the outfield competition. Pauley, Marcy, Merrill. I'm very interested to see how some of these job battles end up finishing out. Some tough decisions that will be made by Mike Schilt and the San Diego Padres. Starting rotation, how does that look? Are there going to be more additions? We'll see. We'll see. Go Pods.